Greetings everyone and welcome in today's webinar, the role of the new ISO 9001-2015 leadership requirements in companies. Great to have you all here with us. I am Shaun Ahmeti, the Portfolio Marketing Manager for Quality Management System here at PECB. This webinar will be presented by George Ogoti, an MSc Chemical Engineering. He is a PECB certified auditor, trainer and implementer, and he has an extensive coverage in Africa and Middle East and Managing Director of the MMCAFRICA. Please feel free to write your questions and comments in the question box in the right-hand control panel. Or you can use the raise hand function to have a chance to ask the question directly to George. Left questions will be answered accordingly at the end of the presentation. Please, Mr. Ogoti, you may continue with the presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shaun. Thank you so much for the attendees, and we apologize for the last time the connection. The topic is the role of the new ISO 9001-2015 leadership requirements in companies. My name has already been given out, and I'm the Managing Director of Millennium Management Consultants, or abbreviated to MMCAFRICA. The new ISO 9001, I hope you're seeing this presentation. In the ISO committee TC number 176, which is responsible for the ISO 9001, developed or revised the standard of ISO 9001 to give a model of about the next 20 or so years. While this revision of the ISO 9001 has come a long way, it has taken into considerations of the new quality management system principles from 8 down to 7, but these have eroded a new era in the development of the quality management systems. The revised standard of ISO 9001-2015, as you are aware, the attendees, was published in September 23rd of 2015. The reason why I want to remind ourselves is that the scope of the standard has not changed primarily, but the structure and the core terms have been modified to allow the standard to integrate more easily with other international management system standards. So it's a user-friendly standard because the core terms have just been modified to make sure we can integrate to other standards which you have developed in your company, in your organization, whether large or small. The actions included in modifications are mainly 3, which I will emphasize on number 2, but I want to read the 3. 1, that there is a greater emphasis on building a management system which is suitable to your organization particular needs, whether you're a small, medium, or large organization. So the standard has put emphasis on us to build a management system suited to our own needs. This way now the leadership comes in immediately, because if you look at number 2, there is a requirement that those at the top of the organization have to be involved and be accountable, aligning quality management systems with the wider business strategy. So the top management already is coming in, whether we are running a small or large organization. Of course, number 3, which will come out in the leadership, is that the risk-based thinking in the standard has made the whole management system more of preventive tool and encouraging we in the organization for a continuous improvement of the quality management system. Remember the preventive action, which was clause number 8.53, has been taken over by risk-based thinking. So I want to concentrate on number 2, where that those are the top, we are the top in our large or small or medium organization. We have to be involved and be accountable, aligning quality with the wider business strategy. When the earlier versions did not have that accountability and involvement as such of an emphasis. So this is a very good action from the standard. I just want to remind ourselves that the version 2015, it is focusing on performances. How you perform is largely informed by combining the so-called process approach, where you look at inputs and outputs and the performance indicators. Then you have to add in risk-based thinking or risk-based approach. So that gives you a performance. And number 2, focusing on performance will be involving employing the BTCA cycle at all levels, from the top to the bottom in the organization, whether we are small or large. And I want to emphasize here that the benefits of ISO 9001, whether we are large or small, have gained great benefits from using this standard as you have seen it. How? By discovering that the cost and efficient savings, and this requires the top management involvement and accountability. So the benefits are there, but I want to show you the 6 benefits which will override or overlay to the top management, as we shall look at that. The 6 of them are: 1, the benefit of the ISO 9001-2015, when you take the summarized emphasis. 1 is to improvement of credibility and the image of your organization or company. It's a powerful marketing tool globally. You can imagine suppliers you demand suppliers to be ISO 9000 accredited or certified. It's a powerful marketing tool. So leadership, we have to be involved in this tool. If it's a marketing tool, then we have to be involved in our credibility and image. You will see that when I will be talking about no shortcuts and not ad hoc cuts. So it's a powerful tool. Then of course, number 2, the key benefit of this standard is improvement of customer satisfaction. We leaders should plan and strive to meet customer requirements, as we shall see in the next slides. Number 3, a key benefit is better process integration, and this will drive us to more efficiencies and improving our costing. So if we improve our costing savings, then of course we can be able to have the business strategy be integrated with the quality management system. This is a large benefit in our organization, whether we are small or large. A key benefit number 4 is an improvement in evidence so that we can be able to make decisions. And this is actually focusing on giving or applying resources to the areas that will improve the efficiencies and of course increase the cost savings in number 3. So when you have a better process integration, then of course, then we make decisions based on evidences which have been improved. So we have to have resources to that area to see how we can make our cost saving. Number 5, another key benefit we have seen is create a continual improvement culture in our organization. By of course using systematic processes, by reducing the impact of any problem in our processes or our services or our products, of course increasing the recovery time for efficiency. So if you can create a continual improvement culture, we shall look at it as top leaders, as leadership, it will of course improve our outputs. And lastly, I don't want to forget our employees, our staff, our personnel. We need to engage them. In that we have to involve them so that they become more productive. And of course, if you look at quality of the processes, we depend on them largely. So these 6 key ones I've taken in the new ISO 9001-2015 as leaders in small or large organizations. Of course, there are more benefits than the 6 of them, but these 6 I looked at them to be largely representative of the other benefits. Of course, I want to emphasize here that ISO 9001:2015 plays a major role in our organizations, and we have seen it. I want to encourage all organizations, whether we are small or large, to pursue the ISO 9001:2015 certification, following the normal steps. Of course, the reasons are likely to be three. One, we want to increase our internal performance and operations. Two is to reduce overall costs, so we save. And ISO 9001:2015 version now has been proven to be a roadmap to ensure delivery of quality products and the quality services. So these three, I want to encourage us that we should take over and take in the ISO 9001:2015 certification. But also this requires leadership. Now let me concentrate on leadership role. What I've done, I've summarized our roles in our organizations into 11 sub-roles, and I want to now look at them largely. But before we want to look at the 11, I want to remember the PDCA cycle of ISO 9001, and I want to emphasize here that leadership is the center. That is clause number 5. If you look at clause number 5, is the center of the PDCA. Meaning, once you go through planning stages, once you go through support and operations, once you go through the performance and we evaluate ourselves, we go to improvement, the leadership will have effects, both sides, whether you are looking at horizontal or vertical in this PDCA. And of course our QMS will be the vital role on the outer cycle. And of course the inputs, you can see that the organization in this context, clause number 4, looking at the customer requirements, and of course our interested party needs and expectations. Of course the outputs is customer satisfactions, results of the QMS, and our products and the services will have value to the global market. So I want to emphasize here that we are in the center. We're in the center of the PDCA. So if you remove leadership, the cycle will just collapse. So without leadership, this cycle will just collapse. That's why we have been put at center. And of course, largely speaking, if you look at the clauses at a minor way, you just look at clause number 5, we are looking at the quality policy, we are looking at needs and expectations, and largely speaking, this is what we should be concentrating on. So I've taken these 11 roles for us to have a look as leaders in our organizations. I want to define leadership. Leadership is defined as the person or a group of people. This could be the board, the management group, who directs and controls an organization at the highest level. It can be the managing director, the general manager, the board. So this is a person, but a group of people, and who will give a direction and control. So if we are giving direction and control, definitely then we have to show leadership commitments. I want to emphasize here that top management has the power to delegate authority and provide resources within organizations. And of course, if the scope of the QMS covers only a part of it, then of course top management refers to those who are directly are in charge or controlling that part of the organization. But I want to say here, then leadership here or leaders here, they have the ability to motivate groups of people towards a common goal. That is vision and the mission. And it's important skill in today's global business. That is, without strong leadership, many businesses otherwise will just fail. So leaders have been put at the center of ISO 9001:2015 on clause number 5. And remember, it's at the center of the BDCA, the Plan, Do, Check, and Act cycle. What we need to do, number 1 now. One is to demonstrate leadership and a commitment to quality management systems. What can we consider, we leaders in small and large organizations or medium? One, we should be able to commit ourselves by providing direction for quality management within our organizations, and largely speaking, take that accountability for the effectiveness of the quality management system. So this way we can only demonstrate that we are committed by providing direction and taking the accountability. That's number one. Role number two is to ensure that quality policy and the quality objectives for the quality management system are of course established. And once they are established, we have to make sure they are compatible with the overall direction we are taking strategically and also with the context in which we operate from. So this is leadership role number two. How do we do this? One, we establish the strategic quality management policies, directives, strategically speaking, and objectives, but we must make sure they are within our purposes and the capabilities of doing them. Two is to have clarity in our mission and vision, where we are going and how we shall arrive there. Develop policies in line with the clarified mission. Develop objectives in line with the vision of our organization. Develop strategies, and of course, we don't only develop strategies, but we just modify them time to time, depending on the situation or the circumstances. But I want to alert you that you keep the target of achieving your vision. That should be a target in 2.5 when we are developing them and modifying them. And of course, number 6 is to specify the strategies for a given year and also give yearly targets. There is more to number 2, role number 2. There's number 7, 8, 9, is that we should specify these strategies for the year given and also give yearly targets. Then, of course, after we specify them and plan for them, then we should be able to cascade them downwards the line so we are operating in. Number 9 is to establish the structure and the environment that motivates people to achieve the organization's quality management goals and objectives. So you have the 2.1 up to 2.8. By the time you arrive there, you should have an internal environment already structured in a way that it gives motivation to people so that they are able to achieve the cascaded objectives and goals. That is the leadership role number 2 out of 11. Leadership role number 3 is in ISO 9001:2015. We should ensure that we can integrate the quality management system requirements into our overall business processes. This one shows that we are committed, but I want to urge here that we don't take ad hoc decisions. Decisions have to be based on evidences we have gotten so that we could make an informed decision. We should not make or should not cut shortcuts, and we should not have an unethical means of achieving our interests. Ensure the QMS is implemented effectively and so that we can be able to achieve satisfaction of stakeholders. So this is role number 3, which we have seen working very well, and this gives you a commitment by not taking ad hoc decisions. Once we integrate the QMS requirements into the overall processes of our businesses in large, medium, and small organizations. Role number 4 of leadership in the new ISO 9001:2015, of course, is to promote the awareness and the use of the process approach in our organizations. How do we do this? One, as leaders, we should strive to get the knowledge on what is process approach. You can get it internally or by having consultants or trainers or implementers to come and train us as leaders. We should not shy away getting knowledge from external. If you have the internal capabilities, please get this knowledge. Then share these concepts into our routine work. Once you have gotten this knowledge of what is process approach, by looking at inputs and outputs, then bring the concept into our routine work. From experience, this has worked very well from the top leaders. Once they understand what is process approach, we do an awareness training for approximately half day or 1 day, depending on how busy they are. Then they bring normally these concepts in their routine work in the organizations. Of course, in the process approach, you should be able to identify the key result areas or the key performance indicators, for those who are familiar with KPIs or KRAs, for achieving objectives, identifying them per process, identifying them per input and output, the way you want to approach your processes. And of course, you prepare an action plan on achieving them, because one of the requirements is to achieve objectives in class number 6, come up with an action plan work as per the plan, the action plan, review the action you've taken and the results, and take suitable corrective and preventive actions to make sure that you are achieving your intended results or objectives. Of course, if it's preventive, you can do risk-based thinking, and risk-based approach. So this number 4 is one of the most important role of the leadership in the new ISO 9001 by 2015, among other roles which we shall look at. There are remaining about 7. Number 5, as leaders, we should promote the use of risk-based thinking throughout our organization. This gives you the preventive action of class number 8.53 in the version 2008. How do we do this? One, while we are doing this is to ensure that all risks within the processes and opportunities within the processes are being determined and well managed. How do we do this? We should be able to promote the identification and documenting it, all the processes, by using either process maps, process flow diagrams as part of our QMS. So whether you're a large organization or a medium or small, we should be able to have process maps or process flow charts or diagrams as part of your QMS. You can have a software to draw for you process flow charts, or you can have you can draw in using the normal Word documents. You can be able to use them. Determine then the risks and opportunities that can affect the conformity of the products and the services, or as the ability to affect the enhancement of customer requirements. Determine the risks related to your businesses, the products and the processes and any resources you're applying. And of course, after you determine, you should be able to address these associated risks and opportunities very adequately so that you can achieve your customer requirements or legal requirements or any other requirement. And of course, you should be able to facilitate the people in identifying risks in advance. That means you are proactive. Risks should not be identified within a short period. We should be proactive in our leadership, in our organizations, in advance. Facilitate the people by giving them resources to identify the risks. This you can also be train them on risk assessments or risk identification and management, together with, of course, with opportunities which are positive. Then after you identify, of course, you should be able to communicate the nature of the risks and opportunities and the extent of the controls you are putting in place, if they are negative risks or positive opportunities, how you are able to manage them and use them. So this promotion is a leadership role in the new standard, that we should promote the use of risk-based thinking. Number 6, we should promote, of course, improvement in a largely competitive global environment. How do we do this and why? One, you remember that we are dealing with a global environment. We should have value for our products and the services so that the customer priority can be seen and the society at large. One, lead your organization to innovative approach, develop new products and the services where applicable, reduce any waste, improve your efficiencies so that you are able to reduce the cost of operation, giving you a cost saving, identify any unwanted processes and eliminate them, and of course, because staff and personnel are involved, enhance their knowledge, their skills, and their ability through training or organizational knowledge in organizations. So let's improve the quality of staff adequately also, continuously, so that we are able to add value of our products and the services to our global customers and society at large. We are living in a competitive world. We are living in a competitive environment. We should be able to promote any improvement as leaders. If we can reduce waste, we are improving. Number 7 is a requirement of leaders to provide adequate, I've added the word adequate resources, because we say enough probably is semantics, but adequate meaning the ones which we have determined are seen to be suitable. These resources will be used to develop, implement, maintain, and improve the QMS in your organization. 1, plan resources required, review them, why they are required and when they are required, provide them these resources, then periodically review your QMS performance against provided resources to see where more resources are required or reduction of the same resources. Determine then the suitability, the adequacy and the effectiveness of the provided resources, and largely enough then own the processes and largely improve the QMS. Because if you own the processes, then of course you will provide the resources. You become the owner of the process, then you give the resources. If you don't own the process, you will not be able to see the need of providing the resources. So it works both ways. Provide the resources and own the process. This way, the two parameters you will have the improvement of the QMS. This has worked very largely to a lot of organizations who have dealt with, and this we can give a testimony. Number 8, communicate regularly in your organization on the importance of meeting customer and regulatory requirements. Of course, regulatory can be statutory, of course, or legal. That can be combined in semantical speaking. I think communication is very important. It's a requirement of the QMS. You should be able to define what needs to be communicated to whom, define the methods used for that communication, the periodicity or the frequency, and determine the effectiveness of the communication you have already done. So this is very important. As leaders, we should be able to communicate. If we don't communicate, you will see that the problem will be meeting requirements, meeting legal requirements, meeting statutory requirements, meeting regulatory requirements. We will come to another challenging. We will have other risks being developed. You will miss opportunities. So communicating regularly, this can be done in meetings, this can be done in trainings, this can be done in interneting, this can be done in any other method you want to do it, even by letter, by memo, not anything you want to communicate about. You can even have newsletter, you can have magazines, you can have e-communication. So please define what needs to be communicated to whom so that appropriately, so we can reduce the risks and opportunities within the customer requirements and any regulatory requirements. It's very important to communicate regularly. How regularly you communicate, you define it by frequency. Number 9, we should be able to have a focus on our customers. We should take the lead. If we don't take the lead as leaders in demonstrating the commitment to customer focus, you will have a problem in our organizations, largely speaking, either small, medium, or large. The purpose of taking this lead is to achieve total customer satisfaction. I've just added the word total. Of course, total will not be achievable, but total is a semantic language that you improve continuously. The total customer satisfaction. You can call it TCS. How do we do this? 1, you determine all applicable statutory, regulatory, and customer requirements. All of them. So that means you can either do it internally or you can have an external consultant in an advisory role. Can be a legal person or somebody versed with the environment in which you are operating in. So you ensure that all applicable ones have been determined. Then they have been understood. After you determine, make sure they are well understood. What are the requirements and how they have been met, how they will be met consistently. It's not a one-time meeting the requirements. It's a consistency meeting the requirements which have been applicable to your organization in the environment or the context in which you are operating. So without a consistency of the meeting, you have a problem of your products and the services. Devise alternative solutions to meet these requirements or expectations. Provide the leadership and commitment of time. People also require time to meet this. Give them time where possible. And of course, we provide resources to ensure this happens and maintain a strong focus of enhancing or increasing the customer satisfaction at all times. One thing we have noticed that customer satisfaction focus, sometimes we drop our guard, we forget, but this should be a priority in our leadership so that we have a commitment to customer focus. In any event, this is one of the number 1 quality management principle. That is a principle for us to do it. So this is what I've just tried to find a way out, that if we can be able to ensure that all requirements have been determined and they are understood and we communicate them, then we can be able to focus on customer satisfaction at all times. Number 10, the role of the leadership in the new ISO 9001:2015 is to maintain a quality policy by establishing it, by implementing it. It's one thing to document, another thing to maintain the quality policy. How do we do this? One, you remember, quality policies must be geared on the vision which we have already developed. So when we are developing this quality policy, it should be consistent with the scope of our QMS. Technical speaking and geographical scopes should be consistency there. It should also be consistent with other business, management and organization strategies within our organization. This will ensure that we are focused on our visions and where we are going. Number three, the quality policy should be very specific on the requirements to be complied with. What are we complying with in our quality policy? Should be customer compliances, regulatory compliances, and of course ISO 9001, etc. You can add more commitments of compliances within the quality policy statement. State clearly the commitment to continually improve the effectiveness of the quality management system. That should be clear. It should be there within the established quality policy. Then you can include any other complementary policies geared to your own organization needs. For example, your business growth. You can have the competency there within the quality policy. You can have the business flexibility, etc. These are just complementary policies which are ensuring there's a vision on your QMS and you are focused on the direction you are taking. So once you are establishing this, you can also include other policies. It's a good starter, it's a good indicator, it's a good pointer for leaders in organizations. And of course, as usual, this must be a framework for establishing quality objectives. So if you can follow 10.1 up to 10.5, then it will lead you to establishing quality objectives, which now will be cascaded down the line to be achieved under the role in number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and onwards. So this is a role for the top management in the new ISO. Of course, it was there in ISO 9001-2008, but this has been more explicit in the new standard for leaders to ensure they are involved and they are accountable for the quality policy statements. Last but not least, the 11th one is we should be able to have defined organizational roles, responsibilities, and authorities. This is necessary for the QMS, and it's a new role for the leaders. One here is that we should be able to define the structure, the hierarchy, and the lines of reporting. Ensure that duties, responsibilities, and authorities of all personnel have been defined and communicated to within the organization. Ensure all personnel are clear on their duties, their responsibilities, their authorities in meeting not only customer and also the regulatory requirements. So we should be able to ensure are very clear. They are very clear their duties, not only the responsibilities and authority, but make sure they're also meeting the customer requirements, and not only customer requirements, but also regulatory requirements. As another way of meeting number 11, we should define, document, communicate, deploy as necessary the defined roles throughout the organization, whether you're small, whether you're medium or large. And we should be able to demonstrate effective planning, effective operation, and the control of internal communication processes by performance indicators. This way you are giving people roles, this way you are giving people responsibilities, this way you are giving people authorities. If you can be able to give them performance indicators, the PIs, or the RAs, result areas, whereby they are effectively planning, they are effectively operating, and they are in control during the internal communication. These are your indicators. So partly when you are doing the roles and responsibilities and authorities, you should be able also to give your performance indicators to this structure, to this hierarchy and lines of reporting. This way is necessary for improvement of the QMS, and largely the QMS will work very effectively in your organization, whether you are small, whether you are medium or large organization. With these 11 roles are put for you across today, I hope it will assist us to make good leadership in the new dispensation of ISO 9001-2015. We can give a testimony, we can testify, we can give this. We have done a lot of organizations. And once they have understood these 7 roles of their leadership, we have seen, largely speaking, improvement of the QMS as becoming very effective on a continuous scale. I want to thank you very much for listening to me. Before we take questions, I want to hand over to Sean Back to tell you about our training courses in ISO 9001-2015 version. Sean, please take over.
Yeah, thank you, George, for this great presentation and explanation about the leadership in the companies according to the ISO 9001-2015. We want to inform you that PECB provides training and certification service for ISO 9001 Introduction, Foundation, Lead Implementer, and Lead Auditor. The training is designed to provide you with required knowledge to carry out audits of quality management system against ISO 9001 and ensure that the organization is competent in maintaining its quality management system. The exam and certification fees are included in the training price, and also participants' certificate of CPDs will be issued to participants. For more information, please visit our website pecb.com/training. Okay, now with the time left, we will go ahead with some questions. Actually, there are so many of them. Therefore, if you have any other question, it's time to ask them. Okay, George, the first question is, how do we hold leadership accountable for failure of the QMS?
Do I take all the questions or answer one by one?
I will just read some of them because there are so many, and you can just answer those that I'm reading. How do we hold leadership accountable for failure of the QMS?
Okay. How do we hold leadership to be accountable for failure
of the QMS?
Of the QMS.
Yes.
One is that we have said we leaders, we should demonstrate accountability. It will mean that you miss the certification, you miss it out if you are not accountable. That means your organization will not be certified until you close the gaps of showing the accountability. One, even if you structure a way that you give your accountability downwards to somebody, previously the standard we were calling it the management representative, but still as a leader, you are held accountable. And if you look at the classes I've just read, these are the evidences you will be making downwards, or out of the 11, whichever you take. If there's no quality policy statement, you are accountable for that. So we hold you that you can't achieve certification of ISO 9001. So you not have a powerful marketing tool in your organization. So you'll be accountable for missing out a certification towards ISO 9001.
Okay, thank you very much for this answer. We will go ahead with the next question. What are the items that can be delegated yet still need to be accountable?
That's a nice one. Unfortunately, we can look at the word unfortunately in the new dispensation of ISO 9001, the back, let me call the word the back, it stops at the top leaders. However much you want to delegate, you remember you're appointing somebody below you saying you're accountable to me for the following. But the decision making largely is with you. For example, resources. You cannot delegate resources. It is resources if they are financial. You're looking at a budget. The budget is large. You cannot delegate that to management representative. So resources, largely speaking, if I look at that one, largely speaking on behalf of the other requirements of the standard, you cannot delegate it. So you cannot say, I've delegated you to issue these following resources. So the resources part will fall on you. Two, if risks have not been mitigated against, and also they require the same resources, you can imagine what will happen in an organization. For example, if the risk is oil spillage, of course that's an environmental, but also can be a QMS on work environment. How would you manage the spill up cleanup? You cannot make a decision on resources. So you cannot delegate some things which you are held accountable for. Some countries globally require, like in OSH, health and safety, which now, if you are looking at across integration of the QMS to other management standards, if you look at across, they will be the same. You are held accountable for death of a person in a working environment. So you cannot delegate some things. I've given you an example, like resources. I could even give you many. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, George. We'll go ahead with another question. Leadership is the driver of the QMS. Leadership must be before the clause of the context in the standard. Is it right?
It is right and wrong. One, you are telling leaders to start off in above class 4. To where are they leading you to? I know why that question has come. Because of vision and mission statements which have been developed by various organizations. Normally, these vision statements and mission statements have been approved or signed off by the top leaders. So they are thinking that that class should be swapped 5 and 4. But I want to say here, the flow of the requirements of the standard, I think the way it is for now, I'll leave it. You start with the environment where you are, culturally speaking and socially and legal. Then you tell the people where do you want to do your QMS, and then come in with the leaders. The leaders have to be shown where they need to start. If they start immediately, to me, they'll be lost. They will be told, no, you have started on the wrong foot. So the class 4 will be beneficial to start off with before the leaders come in. You cannot have leaders coming in to what they don't know what they are entering in. So that class number 4 stands the way it is, and number 5 the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Probably this is going to be the last question because there are so many of them, and due to the time limitation, we do not have time to answer all of them, but you will answer by the email because you will have the report. Okay, the last question is how to improve operational process through leadership in QMS.
Okay. First of all, we had a webinar on improvement of the QMS and the OPIs, the Operational Performance Indicators, which we had 3 months ago. I will urge kindly, because it's quite a long topic, if we could send the same slides or the YouTube to the listener, to the attendee, it will give you how you can be able to improve your QMS operational-wise and improve your performance to cut down on the cost, because you want to save on the costs. But it requires the horizontal calculations and the vertical calculations because it depends on a lot of parameters. You have to take a process, look at the viability of the process, dissect it vertically and horizontally, and if shown you will allow, if I may mention, then we will send the slides the way we did it last time to the presenter. And if it's not enough, then we can do another clarification on that because it's quite long. But largely speaking, the leaders have to be the driver in the OPS, the Operational Performance Indicators. If you're giving individual performance indicator and just say, okay, you perform, then bring me a report on how you performed. Will not add value if you don't provide the leadership on how to perform. The leadership there is resources adequately, the knowledge, capability, and how the PS were derived upon, so that there's consistency in meeting the customer requirements. So probably I'll answer it briefly that way, but if the slides can help, then I'll answer it on the email. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much, George. It was great explanation of the, the answer was great, and because of the time limited, we will have to conclude this presentation. However, if you have any other questions, you can send your questions through email, and we will answer them individually. Thank you again, George, for this clear and informative presentation. I want to thank all the attendees as well for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today. We hope you enjoyed the webinar. To keep up with our webinars, please check PECB webinar schedule in our website, pecb.com. In our social media network, and since next week, we are organizing another webinar on the how to establish the strategic approach to the QMS. Thank you, George, for this very informative presentation. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Hope to see you next time.
Yeah, bye.